Hello, seventh grade. So in this video, we're going to be discussing how to make a template for our main wing. Now, the main wing is actually going to be the wing that goes onto our glider in front. So what we've completed already is the rudder wing that's in the back, but in this case, we're now making the main wing that's going to go on the glider. This will be the template for that main wing. And what a template is, it's just a simple cutout of the shape of what our wing is going to be, and that we will eventually put onto the styrofoam, trace out on the styrofoam so that we know where to cut the styrofoam. It's really easy, but in this particular case, we're not going to be doing the styrofoam in this video. What we will be doing, though, is this template. The styrofoam is in the next video. So to start our template, what we first need is our center line, our line of symmetry. Now, when we were doing the rudder wings, we had that line of symmetry so that when we glued it to the back of our fuselage, we actually knew that we could glue it so that it was equal on one side to the other. That's really important to make sure that it's balanced, because when planes are flying, they need to be balanced. Otherwise, they will lean one way or the other and it could crash. So to make the line of symmetry with this, it's really simple. You just fold your paper in half. So that'll be the first step, is to fold the paper in half. Where this fold is will eventually be our line of symmetry, so that whatever we're going to create should be equal on one side as it will be on the other side. It has to be equal. So we're going to keep it folded, and we're going to start creating our design. That design that we're going to create will eventually sit onto our glider where the fold is in the middle. So whatever we do on one side will be one side, and it'll look exactly and be the same thing on the other side. Very simple on how to do this. So now that I've done this, my next thing that I want to talk about is some of the requirements that you're going to have when creating this glider wing. And one of them is wherever the front of the wing is. So what I mean by that is when you put the main wing on your glider, on your fuselage, wherever the front of the wing is going to be, that's going to be locked into the lip of your main wing, that's going to be the front of your wing here. Okay? So that front has to be flat, at least in that area where we're going to lock it into the lip. Because if you cut into it, then your wing will end up sitting more forward and your plane will drop. So you don't want that. So the front part of the wing has to be relatively flat. So in order to do that, I want to make sure that I'm labeling that on my glider, on my template. So since this is our line of symmetry, the fold, that's going to be the middle of our wing. I want to make sure that I do not cut off anything there. I'm keeping it perfectly flat. So I'm just going to draw about that far. That's all I need, really, to just be able to plug it into the lip on my glider. And now I can design my wing any way I want. So I'll just come out here and I will design. And I'm only going to design the front part of the wing for right now. And now that I've got that front part of the wing, that means that all of this, when I cut it off, will be gone. So you don't have to shade this out. I'm just going to cut it off. That's all going to be gone. Now I can draw the rest of what I want. What I want to tell you before we draw any other parts of this is that the main wing has to have surface area, so that when the plane is landing, all of the surface area of the plane is catching the wind, so that when the plane is falling, it falls slower. The slower it falls, the further this plane will fly. So make sure that you have a good amount of surface area. That means how thick this wing is going to be from end to end. How much surface area you're going to have. You want to have a good amount of surface area so that it can catch the wind as the plane is gliding downward. So when the plane is falling, we want it to be able to catch, almost like a parachute, basically. Now, I will then design my design, and in this case, try to be creative with your designs. Okay? Anyway, anything you want to do, you can be fun, you can be creative, but try to be creative with how you're going to make your shapes. And remember, do not cut it too thin. You want to keep it as, sort of wide as you can get it. So there's my design. And now that I've done that design, I can cut it. So you'll take a scissor and you will cut the paper, and make sure you cut it while it's folded. And because I don't want to touch this part of my design, because I need that to fit into the lip of my plane, I'm just not going to cut that, but I will cut everything else. And if you cut it while it's folded, when you unfold it, it'll be symmetrical on both sides. It means everything will be exactly the same design, thickness, and weight. And that therefore your wing will be balanced, which is what you need it to be on the plane. Now, the other thing is you want to make sure you design this the right way so that you're not designing it where the fold is on this end and that this is just open paper. Because if you do, you'll pull it apart and there'll be two of these shapes, and we don't want that. We want the fold to be in the middle so that when we open this up, we've got our design, and I'll get all of this out of the way so you guys can see the shape. We've got our design. Here's going to be our center line, and I know that you can't see that in the camera, so I'm going to just make it dark so that you can see the center line in the picture. So that when I open this up, there's my center line, and everything is symmetrical. It's weighted equally on both sides. And this is how you make a template for your main wing. So step one, fold the paper. Step two, make sure that you leave the front edge of your wing perfectly flat. Don't cut into it. Don't bring it down. And then design, step three, design your system, leaving a good amount of surface area. Step four is to cut it out, and then you're done. When you get done, the next step, the next video, we'll be talking about taking this and putting it on your main wing. Very simple steps, very easy process. This is an instructional video on how to make a template for your main wing.